If you were to step outside onto a typical suburban neighborhood street in the pre-dawn hours today, you would encounter a world completely frozen in sleep. The dark asphalt roads stretch out empty and silent, flanked by rows of dark, climate-controlled homes where families sleep undisturbed until their digital cell phone alarms sound. The modern food supply chain is entirely silent, hidden away in massive, brightly lit 24-hour supermarkets, giant logistics hubs, and automated distribution centers miles away from where people actually live. Today, getting a carton of fresh milk requires a driving trip to a crowded grocery store, navigating fluorescent-lit aisles, and checking plastic expiration dates stamped by machines. It is a sterile, impersonal transaction of convenience, completely disconnected from the neighborhood or the community. But if you grew up in the 1940s, 1950 seconds, or 1960 seconds, the early morning hours didn't belong to total silence. Long before the sun had even cleared the horizon, and hours before the first alarm clocks rang, a dedicated, hard-working neighborhood institution was already wide awake, moving diligently through the fog. He was the local milkman, and his arrival was the true, comforting heartbeat of the neighborhood. To an entire generation of Americans, the milkman wasn't just a delivery driver. He was a reassuring fixture of daily life, a symbol of absolute reliability, trust, and a deeply connected community structure that has completely vanished from the modern world. Long before the giant supermarket chains centralized our food and introduced plastic jugs and paper cartons, the neighborhood milk delivery was a living, breathing daily ritual. The experience began not with sight, but with the deeply familiar soundtrack that played in the dark while the rest of the world was tucked safely beneath their blankets. If you happened to wake up early or leave your bedroom window cracked open on a cool summer night, you would hear him long before you ever saw him. First came the distant, low, and unmistakable purr of the delivery truck. Unlike the roaring, heavy diesel engines of modern delivery vehicles, many vintage milk trucks, especially the iconic Divco trucks, possessed a distinct, low mechanical hum that seemed specifically engineered not to wake the sleeping neighborhoods. It was a gentle, polite sound that coasted down the dark, tree-lined streets. But the true signature sound of the morning, the noise that instantly triggers an avalanche of sensory memories for anyone who lived through that era, was the beautiful, clear, musical chime of glass. It was the sharp, metallic rattle of a wire delivery crate being lifted from the back of the truck, followed by the crystalline clink-clink-clink of heavy glass bottles bumping together as the milkman walked briskly up the concrete driveway. Moving like a quiet ghost through the morning mist, the milkman would approach the front porch step. In the pitch blackness of 5 o'clock a.m., his heavy leather work boots would make a soft, rhythmic thump-thump sound on the porch. He would lean down, gently pick up the empty, washed glass bottles left out by the family the night before, and replace them with cold, heavy, fresh glass bottles of whole milk, cream, or buttermilk. The sound of those bottles settling into the metal porch box or clinking onto the concrete step was a reassuring morning guarantee, a sonic promise that while you slept, the community was functioning, the world was safe, and fresh sustenance had arrived right at your doorstep. The visual identity of the neighborhood milk delivery system rested on two unforgettable pillars: the highly specialized design of the milk truck itself, and the immaculate, professional presentation of the man who drove it. This wasn't a standard, utilitarian cargo van or a generic commercial box truck. Everything about the equipment was deliberately engineered around the unique, hyper-local nature of home delivery. The undisputed king of the suburban street was the iconic Divco milk truck. With its distinctively rounded, friendly front hood, sweeping fenders, and a snub-nosed profile, the Divco truck looked almost human, like a cheerful character that had rolled straight out of a neighborhood storybook. But beneath that charming exterior lay a masterclass in industrial efficiency. Because a milkman had to stop and start his vehicle every few hundred feet, often hundreds of times, in a single morning shift, the truck was built for rapid, effortless access. The driver's side door didn't swing out on a traditional hinge. Instead, it was a heavy, bifold door that slid open smoothly along an internal track. Even more revolutionary was the interior floorboard design. The driver's cabin featured an extremely low, flat step and floor, allowing the milkman to literally stand up while driving. The truck was equipped with a specialized standing drive mechanism, featuring a combination clutch and brake pedal that allowed the driver to pilot the vehicle through short distances from house to house without ever having to waste time sitting down or shifting a traditional gear stick. Inside the rear cargo bay, the environment was a cold, dark, and heavy workspace. Long before modern mechanical refrigeration units were standard on small delivery vans, the milkman relied on pure brute force to keep his inventory fresh during the hot summer months. The back of the truck was loaded with hundreds of pounds of crushed block ice, shoveled directly over the stacks of wooden and metal wire delivery crates. As the ice slowly melted over the course of the morning, a cool, crisp, misty fog would roll out of the back doors whenever they were opened, carrying with it the sweet, clean scent of chilled cream and damp wood. But the machine was only half of the equation. The milkman himself was a walking statement of neighborhood professionalism. In an era when customer service was a matter of immense personal pride, the milkman dressed with the crisp precision of a military officer. Even though his workday began in the freezing, dark hours of 3 o'clock a.m., and involved hauling heavy, wet crates of ice and glass, he would step onto his route looking absolutely pristine. He wore a heavy-duty, spotless white or light gray cotton uniform, complete with matching trousers, a button-down shirt with a neatly pressed collar, and a signature peak service cap. Clipped to his heavy leather belt was a gleaming, multi-barrel mechanical coin changer that rattled with silver quarters and dimes as he walked. He was a walking symbol of absolute cleanliness and absolute trust. Parents felt completely comfortable leaving their back doors unlocked, so the milkman could walk right into their kitchens to place the fresh bottles directly inside the family icebox or refrigerator. He wasn't a stranger, he was an extension of the family, a reliable guardian of the morning who took immense pride in his uniform, his truck, and his service to the community. Long before the era of homogenized, long-lasting milk sold in uniform plastic jugs, the arrival of the morning milk bottle was a visual and tactile marvel. When a child or a parent stepped out to the front porch to retrieve the delivery, they weren't just picking up a grocery item, they were handling a beautifully crafted piece of heavy, clear glass that held a miniature scientific miracle inside. In those days, most milk was non-homogenized, meaning the milk fat had not been artificially broken down and blended into the liquid. As the bottle sat undisturbed in the cold dark of the milk truck and the porch box, a natural, magical separation would occur. By the time you brought the bottle into the kitchen, a thick, rich, luxurious layer of golden cream would have risen entirely to the top, occupying the narrow neck of the bottle. This distinct boundary was known affectionately as the Creamline. The Creamline was a prized household asset. It was so thick that you could carefully spoon it out directly from the top of the bottle to pour over your morning coffee, swirl into a bowl of hot oatmeal, or save for baking weekend desserts. The remaining milk beneath the Creamline became the family's supply of fresh skim or low-fat milk. During the freezing depths of winter, this separation created a delightful, humorous phenomenon. If the milkman left the bottles on the porch on a particularly bitter morning, the water content in the milk would freeze and expand. Because the heavy glass bottle couldn't stretch, the expanding frozen milk would literally push the thick layer of cream straight up out of the top of the neck, lifting the small cardboard cap or aluminum foil seal 2 or 3 inches into the air like a tiny, frozen top hat. Children loved waking up to see these snowy cylinders rising from the porch boxes, a playful visual proof of Old Man Winter's overnight arrival. But the relationship between the household and the milkman wasn't just built on the product. It was sustained by a unique, handwritten language of trust. Long before text messaging, mobile applications, or digital delivery tracking existed, families communicated their shifting daily needs through simple, handwritten notes left inside the empty bottles on the porch. These notes were a beautiful testament to the safety and intimacy of the mid-century neighborhood. A mother might roll up a scrap of paper and slip it into the neck of a clean bottle, writing in neat cursive, "Please leave an extra pint of heavy cream today. My sister is visiting." Or, no milk until Friday. We're going to see Grandma. Sometimes, the notes were even more personal, reading, "Door is open. Please put the milk straight into the fridge. The baby is asleep and the dog might bark." The milkman would read these notes by the dim light of his flashlight, adjust his wire crate inventory on the spot, and handwrite a quick response, or tally the total on a small paper ledger. It was an informal, perfectly efficient system built entirely on mutual respect, honesty, and a shared understanding between neighbors. There were no digital receipts or corporate customer service lines, just a scrap of paper, a clean glass bottle, and a trusted friend who kept the household running smoothly. By the late 1960s and early 1970s, the landscape of American commerce was undergoing a massive, unstoppable transformation. The quiet, personalized world of home delivery was running headfirst into a fast-paced era of centralization, mass production, and ultimate convenience. The undisputed catalyst of this shift was the meteoric rise of the suburban supermarket. Suddenly, families didn't have to wait for individual vendors to visit their homes throughout the week. The milkman, the iceman, the baker, and the greengrocer were all being consolidated under one single, massive roof. Supermarkets operated on an unprecedented scale, buying dairy products in massive bulk quantities directly from industrial processing plants. This allowed them to sell a gallon of milk at a price that small, independent local dairies simply couldn't compete with. As automobiles became larger, more reliable, and equipped with spacious trunks, and as every modern kitchen became anchored by a massive, electric refrigerator with a dedicated freezer compartment, the necessity of a daily home delivery vanished. A homemaker could now drive to the supermarket once a week and stock up on everything the family needed, breaking the daily dependency on the morning clink of glass. But the final, fatal blow to the traditional milkman route wasn't just a change in shopping habits, it was a revolution in packaging materials. For nearly a century, the heavy, clear glass bottle had been the absolute standard container for dairy. But glass had major corporate drawbacks. It was heavy to transport, expensive to manufacture, and highly prone to shattering if dropped on a concrete driveway. Furthermore, the glass bottle system relied on a circular economy. The milkman had to physically collect, haul back, wash, and sterilize every single bottle before it could be refilled and sold again. Enter the waxed paper carton and the lightweight, high-density polyethylene plastic jug. These new materials were a dream for corporate food distribution networks. They were incredibly cheap to manufacture, virtually indestructible during transport, and weighed a fraction of the traditional glass bottles. Most importantly, they were entirely disposable. A consumer could buy a plastic jug of milk, drink it, and throw the container straight into the trash can. There was no more washing out empty bottles, no more leaving them on the porch, and no more circular tracking. By the mid-1970s, thousands of independent local dairies across the nation were forced to close their doors permanently. The iconic Divco trucks were systematically retired from service, parked in rows in old salvage yards where their friendly, rounded hoods began to rust under the afternoon sun. The immaculate white uniforms and the gleaming silver coin changers were packed away into attic trunks, bringing a swift and quiet end to a century-old profession that had once defined the very fabric of American neighborhood life. Today, the era of the neighborhood milkman feels less like a historical reality and more like a comforting, sun-drenched fairy tale from a forgotten civilization. To a generation raised on instant digital deliveries, doorstep drop-offs by gig workers in unmarked cars, and contact-free shipping, the idea of a uniformed professional walking into your kitchen to manage your dairy inventory sounds completely unimaginable. The physical remnants of that golden age are rare now. You might occasionally spot an old, insulated aluminum dairy box sitting on a suburban porch, now repurposed to hold garden tools or packages. You might see a heavy, clear glass bottle with a faded red dairy logo sitting on the shelf of an antique mall, or a rusted, beautiful old Divco truck resting silently in a field at the edge of a rural highway. But the true loss of the Milkman route wasn't the delivery of the milk itself, it was the loss of the profound human connection that walked up the driveway with it. The Milkman system was built on a foundation of absolute, unquestioned community trust. It was an ecosystem where business wasn't conducted through digital contracts, user agreements, or algorithmic tracking, but through a shared understanding between two human beings who knew each other's names, families, and stories. The milkman knew when a new baby was born, when an elderly neighbor needed extra help carrying a heavy box, and when a family was hitting hard times. He was a daily, comforting reassurance that you were part of a safe, interconnected neighborhood that actively looked out for one another. When the morning clink of glass vanished from our streets, a little bit of that neighborhood soul vanished along with it. We traded the trusted friend at the back door for the sterile efficiency of the supermarket shelf. And in doing so, we lost a beautiful, irreplaceable morning rhythm. Thank you for stepping back in time with us today to remember the soundtrack of the quiet street and the dedicated men who kept our communities running. If you still remember the unique smell of the ice delivery truck, the taste of the thick Creamline, or the beautiful sound of the bottles clinking on your childhood porch, please leave a note in our comment section below and share your precious memories with us. Until our next journey together, keep those warm traditions alive in your heart, cherish the bonds of your community, and take care.